I'm gonna say it's a take 5.
Take 5.
It's a take 5.
It's complicated.
It's a complicated.
There's a lot of flavors going on.
There's a lot of flavors in a take 5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it a take 5.
Take 5.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I think you will. It is really good. All right, we're just gonna run with it because that is ridiculously funny.
That's great.
German.
Yeah.
Okay, so because we got a German company,
Yep.
right? We're
Based
talking
out of
about
Munich. We're good friends out in Germany.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Rick and Al here, talking about another product, breaking it down. We've got the Allianz Benefit Control Annuity. This is one of their most popular products right now. Rick's gonna run us through everything A to Z. This is great play, though. Great choice, Will. Nice job, man. All right.
Always coming in strong.
Killer stuff. So, everybody, we're talking about the Allianz Benefit Control Annuity today on the show. Rick and Al, again, like I said, we're here talking product yet again. Covered the F&G Power Accumulator last episode, and today talking about an income product that I know very little about to this point.
Yeah.
You're going to break it down for us, and we're going to talk through everything, A to Z.
Yeah.
What we like, what we don't like, what's good, what's bad, how you might sell this to a client, or how you might propose this as a good option for a client. Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's a cool product, man. It's a meaty product. There's a lot of different moving parts to it. Can be used in a lot of different various ways. So we'll touch on some of the big selling points to it, like you said, how to position it, where it's going to come in real strong for a client. It's a lot of fun, man. So let's dive in.
All right. So why did they do this, Allianz ABC? I mean, what was they had the 222. It's a great product.
Yep.
They got rid of a bunch of products, right, over the last few years. The 360, that's still going.
It's still here, yeah. Still all right.
We haven't talked about any of these products yet, so the future shows, right?
Yeah. Look ahead for it.
All right, so we're left with the ABC now. Like, so what void did Allianz have that this filled?
The simple answer is income before year 11. That was always a limitation
before year 11. Why? Because you couldn't take income with the 222.
You had to wait till a full 10-year deferral for income to start.
It's still a terrible income product in year 11, though.
The 222 wasn't bad.
Well, I mean,
it's good in its space.
It's like if you want income long term.
Yeah.
It'll outpace everything by like year 15, pretty much.
And keep growing. So again, if you have like a 15-year event horizon before you need income,
depending on market conditions.
Yeah, right. Depending, again, it's another subsect of it. But again, you got to remember too, when the 222 was built, you had a lot more products like the bonus gold. A lot of people were still stretching products for 15, 16 years.
True.
So a lot of the annuity chassis were still a lot longer than what they've made them now. Now you've got 5-year products and even some 3-year products. Back then it was, 14, 15, 16 years. Wasn't a concern or worry, especially for an income product, right?
Right.
So 222 definitely held its own number one selling product for a very long time period, but a lot of companies came out and started saying like, hey, look, what if you were transitioning out of work, moving your 401k over, and you need to generate some income from it? Obviously, you don't have 10 years to push that out. Like, you want to retire today. So the ABC really came into that spot, and it's done pretty well. You don't get first year. I do believe it's still like a 1-year deferral for income, but it is much shorter than that 10-year space. So that's why it was built.
Let's look at specs here.
With a couple different extra like little features and bonuses that makes it a little bit stronger.
Okay. We'll talk about all that. Bring this up on the screen here, Will, for us if you can, please. Thank you. All right, product at a glance. What are we looking at?
All right, so basic stuff. Again, issue age 80, $20,000 minimum. That stuff's really your core simple product. 10% after the first year. What is really cool about this product, just like as far as the withdrawals go, like the 222, and there's other products out there that do it, but it's not very common. When you're doing your 10% free withdrawal, it is based off of the input premium or account value, whichever's higher.
All right, so whatever you put in originally or the account value.
Yep.
Right, so like
$100,000
in. I want to.
You can take 10% out every year, and it's true
based
10%.
Off the original.
10 grand, 10 grand, 10 grand, 10 grand,
So
10 grand.
killer for like I don't know if you're doing like some sort of IUL play, IUL funding, like a 10-pay IUL, whatever.
A lot of guys use it for that. If you're doing like a slow Roth conversion, something to that degree.
Right.
If you're, again, just building like an income base, right? If you don't really want to turn the income rider, but you need like a fixed amount, it doesn't change. So,
right.
Really cool feature of it. Again, other products have it, but it's nice to have an income product that has that kind of flexibility with income. That's core on this side. The other side is this is a really good death benefit play too, and we'll dive into these features later on how they can be positioned. But your death benefit here is actually going to be the income account. Rather than that income account being fake money, never really being real unless you turn on the income rider. And there's been dozens of studies saying how little versus how frequently people actually end up using the income rider, let alone use it all the way till they're getting through the original premiums.
People, turn on income riders.
So the fact that, again, this is a income product and built to be an income product, and being able to pass on the actual income account to your kids over 5 years, that's a limitation to it. But
pretty typical Allianz thing these days. 222 had that, made it very popular. So now this is available. That's available on this product.
Yes.
But isn't there a cap on that? Because
there is a limitation.
Okay.
Yep. There's a limitation. It's 250% of the input
see
premium.
That right here.
I don't think it's the actual accumulation value.
Let me go back to that.
Input premium.
Yeah, I see that right there.
Yep. Account value.
Interesting.
So again, the account value does grow pretty decent. You just can't pace it out too far. The 222 doesn't have that. So that is one if you are doing like a true death benefit play. 222
has no cap.
Yeah, it has no cap on it. So
if you need income prior to 10 years, but after one, right? Because you can't have it in the first year. And you want or you want to be able to pass on, or there could potentially be some non-use of the income rider. Therefore, beefing up the opportunity for an income product would be selling the death benefit, or that's kind of like the cherry on top, is that you're going to get this death benefit or the PIV or the income account.
The income account is real money, and
years.
that's a big cherry.
Yeah, that's a big cherry. So. That is a huge benefit. It is like shocking to me how many people were sold an income product. The stats are astronomical. I mean, it's crazy amount of income riders never get turned on. And, the product was generally sold for that purpose, right? And they just never needed it, or didn't turn out they needed it.
Yeah, you look at like,
you see a lot of
8 to 13 years ago, 8 to 14 years ago, the amount of like people that just have income products, have no use for them, have never turned on income. They have a $500,000-$600,000 income account, and they're like, I'm 75. I don't need $35,000 coming in on top of my taxes. Like,
So, right, creating taxable stuff.
It's a big point, obviously, too, when you're picking a product, like make sure it's right for the client situation.
But I think it's not always that case. Like sometimes you'll have a client that's like, I'm going to help you from an income perspective, but part of that is guaranteeing income that we don't necessarily need today. Potentially healthcare increases, or whatever else might come down the road, tax, legislative risks, whatever might come down the road. If those things don't end up coming down the road, you don't need the income, you never turn it on. It just sits there.
Yeah. And I mean, it'd be interesting to see from like actual like study, like Winks or something like that, for them to do a study, because they do the studies all the time about like who actually is turning on an income rider. I wonder if you looked at it and looked at the time frame, let's say again, 15 years ago, people would have been 60. That was kind of the heyday of like income products, or getting to that point.
Right.
I wonder, which would put people at 74, 75 now. So you're still talking pretty decent health situation, maybe starting to deteriorate. So it'd be interesting to see if in another, like through this next 5 years, 6 years of annuity time frame, how many of those riders actually get turned on just to cover like medical costs and those kind of bills.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're looking at how long income products have been out, and you're saying like, oh, nobody ever actually turns them on. Well, we're just getting out of like 10-year chassis of a lot of these income products. So it'd be interesting to see in the next couple of years how many actually get turned on.
Yeah, very interesting.
So
yeah,
cool product. So it does have a good income rider on it. It works a little bit different than most. It does have the big selling point, of course, just like the 222, it's increasing income.
Okay.
Anytime you have increasing income, that means that the income rider is typically based off of growth in the account value, and then some kind of formula, some kind of hocus pocus to the actual income account.
What's the rate? It was like 150%.
Yeah, so it should be in there. If you want to pull a computer up, and we'll find that slide. It's like 250. They have the accelerated, and then they have the balanced. options you can pick. That'd be in that PowerPoint I sent you. So they have the accelerated, which is
bring this up on the screen here.
250%. Back one slide. Keep going back. Right here. This section of it.
Got it.
All right. So you're going to get as you can see on the left side, I guess, of our side of it, right? When you do the accelerated version, that's obviously where you're going to put your money while you're building the income. So if you're doing like a 7-year deferral, obviously for the 7 years, you want to stick in the accelerated side to it. If you're building it for the income option, you're going to get 50% of whatever account value is credited to the account. So again, you get
here it's an index goes up 4. I'm going to get 2
to your accumulation value.
2 to I'm going to get 2 to the accumulation value.
Yep. And then you're going to get 250% of that 4 to the income account.
I gotcha.
So you get a 2 to the accumulation value and a 10 to the income account.
I see.
So it's really like ratcheting up that income account. Or you can do the balanced version of it where you're getting 100% of the index to the account value, and then you're getting a 150 to the income account.
Very interesting.
So if you want to keep it at, an accumulation structured product, it still doesn't do bad. There's definitely better accumulation products out there. But the income account on this really does kind of boost up and grow pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm all over that.
Now, a thing to know, when you do turn on the income rider, this forcibly and automatically switches it to the balanced option.
What?
You don't stay in the accelerated.
Wait, so I stay in the accelerated, I turn on the income in year 7, and then essentially it kicks over. So therefore, after my increasing income would be 150% of the interest allocation. Or the index credit, 150.
Yeah.
So it switches over
to the new growing like income rider that you've turned on in year 7. Yeah, that's going to be switched over to the balanced.
So okay, let's say with 2 consecutive years, the market goes up 4%, or this index credit goes up 4%. First year, I don't have this thing. I have it in the accelerated because I haven't turned on income.
Okay.
I'm going to get credited to my income, my PIV, protected income value account, 10%. Is that right? And then the next year, I turn on my income, first of the year. And by the end of my annual point-to-point or whatever my index choice is, the market does 4% again. But now I've turned on income. I'm only going to get 6 credited to my account there?
Yes, the second year.
Wow.
So, and again, you got to remember, though, when you're turning on an income rider, it is depleting the accumulation value when it comes to the other features, right? So even though technically you can pass this income account bucket off to your kids, the rest of the features like a well-being rider, all those other things typically are going to come out of the account value. That's what they're looking at as a metric. So they want to try to keep the account value up and as well, frankly, get their money out of it. So keeps the product afloat, but you do lose that accelerated option once you turn the income rider on.
Yeah, it really stalls out growth while you're taking income out. I mean, stalls out growth to the accumulation value for sure.
Yep.
But I guess you're getting the PIV as a death benefit anyway, right? It's still growing pretty fast.
Yep.
It's a huge benefit. I mean, it doesn't outweigh. If I want to, the goodness of the product. I'm just saying it's like kind of a cheeky thing to do.
I agree. There's definitely some cheeky things with this product. Some catch-22s on it. Like one of the big things a lot of people don't like. This is to me the largest selling point, and me and as well as a lot of people have complained to Allianz about it. So the biggest thing to the 222 was that there's no fees on the product at all.
Yeah.
And technically there's no fees on this product, but there are. Right? And they kind of like sneak it in there.
I love that.
There's a 95 bip fee on this product if you choose one of the index allocation options. And we'll look at that. There's like 4 options you can pick from that don't have a fee based on them, but any of the good ones have a fee based on them.
Is this it? Is this what I'm looking at?
Rate sheet.
Pull this up real quick.
All right. It doesn't say which ones. Gap spread. There we go. All right. No, it doesn't say the fees on it. There we go. Current charge 95.
Boom.
Applies only to certain index allocations, 95 bips. Allows Allianz to better manage investment risk in an extremely challenged economic environment. So a cop-out, if you ask me. They do have these other 3 little kind of like caveats to it that like they reserve the right to charge a fee on it additionally. But those 3 things, I mean, you could do more independent research on those. They're damn near improbable.
If one of 3 incur charge charge variations may vary by state and broker. If the average of the daily U.S. 10-year U.S. Treasury rate drops over a calendar year below 0.50%, what are they saying?
So
the charge percentage might change from 0.95
to
might go up.
I want to say it's pretty decent, man. I don't remember what the high end fee of it, but I think it was around like 2%. So if the Treasury is like under 50 bips for a year, they're going to charge you more. Or if corporate bond downgrades are greater than 25%, or if investment grade corporate bonds defaults are greater than 0.5%.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but what would be interesting to know is if one of these things happened in the middle of my year, right? My annual point to point or whatever, my situation, my allocation to this happens. Could they change the fee in that year for me?
I don't know that, because when you ask anybody at Allianz, to be truthfully, like they act like this is completely impossible. Like I remember when they first released this product, I want to say it was late 2019.
They're obviously worried about something.
It was like late
These
2019.
things happen and they affect every insurance company out there. These things happen.
It was like late 2019. I remember them being like, oh, like the U.S. Treasury has never even been close to being like 1% for a whole year. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I agree. I get that. But I was like, what if it does? Like, what are you going to do? Like, well, you know, these things are really, really, really unlikely. And it's basically like, you know, this would cause us to be like almost like not insolvent, obviously, but like we're going to be in such hard financial times that it would be ridiculous for these things to happen. And then obviously COVID hit and it like dropped the like treasury rate down to like 1%, like that, and it stuck there. So I don't know if they would charge the fee halfway through the product or halfway through the year, or like add it on to it that year and take it out the year.
I just say it's like if it's June to June, right, and I've elected to be in this allocation, the one that charges the 95 basis point fee. If I'm in that allocation and in January, halfway through whatever January, the Treasury has now dropped below 0.50. That is shockingly low.
So, but the thing about that, the catch on that as well, is it has to be for the year. If you go back to it, it's saying
for the whole calendar year.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the whole calendar year, it's been there, right?
Yep.
And now they're like, we've got to make some changes, and they're going to up it. Does that include? Is that just for new? Allocations.
New people buying into the product, or does that count for
Not
yours?
new people, but like, every year you get an annual review and you can switch your allocation option, right? Like, so it's like, okay, unless it's like a 2-year, right?
Yeah.
And it's every other year or whatever. But if I'm in the middle of that allocation.
If you're paying attention, can you switch it out before they dime you out and like charge you on it?
Well, I'm just saying is like, if so, if not, if they weren't allowed to do that, and I'm in the middle, and like they just would have to, when I renew my allocation strategy at the end in June again, if I select that allocation option again, then I pay the new increased rate or increased fee. Or if it's like halfway through and they're like, nope, including those that are in it currently also.
I'm going to make an assumption and like say, I would hope that they'd wait till your policy anniversary ends.
Right.
I mean, that
let
would
me
be
make the decision
right
whether I want to stand, because I signed up for 95 basis points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Makes sense.
Now we're jumping to one.
We're speculating, everybody.
Yeah,
it's not
definitely speculation.
Anyway, okay. Yeah. So there's a fee, but which indexes are?
Go to
they?
the
Do
rate
we
sheet
wanna
I
do
sent
that?
to you. Yeah.
All right. Let me pull that up.
It's gonna be a different attachment.
Boom.
Not yet.
Well, you can't. You're not. I don't know what's happened here. Hold on one second.
Oh.
I got it. Don't worry. I'm coming back.
I'm not a giant fan of the actual options they offer without a fee. My memory serves me correctly, they're only the monthly strategies. It's like Group B. Oh, no, you're on it. So the monthly sum with caps.
All right. Something's happening here. Hold on. There we go.
Nope, there we don't.
I got it. Don't worry. Bingo.
There we go.
Sorry about the technical difficulty. Okay, so which one are the fees? Where are the fees at? Let's see. Allocation charge. So 1. Where's the 1 at?
One's going to be down the bottom.
I should say like in the corner here.
It's all the ones with ones on it. You see all of them except for the monthly sum with caps. See how they all have ones at the end of them? annual point-to-point with spread 1, 2-year point-to-point with spread 1.
Where?
See the monthly sum cap right there? Nothing on it. And then you see the annual point-to-point with spread, how it's got a little 1 right after the D on the spread?
Where am I
Right there,
missing
right there. All the way over to the right at the end of that sentence. Annual point-to-point.
Oh, I'm not even looking at the purple.
It's the whole section, yeah. So all those sections with the ones on it.
So the BlackRock, the Bloomberg, the PIMCO.
Everything except for the monthly sums all have that 95 bit fee on it.
Holy moly.
Yep.
So there's a ton of fees on this product.
Well, it's only a 95 bit fee. It's just on everything that has a decent index on it.
But it's not a no fee income rider.
If you choose the monthly sum without a cap, it is. That's why I said it's cheeky. It's like, no, it's a no feed product. No, for sure. And then you're like, well, let me just run it real quick.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to take the non-sexy allocations.
Yeah. Monthly sum with a cap of 1.6 and 1.3. Which isn't terrible for a monthly sum, 1.3 is not great, but 1.6, I mean, I'd like to see like a 1.5 or a 1.6 on the S&P, but what do you do?
Too much riskier indices.
Yeah.
Rather than the...
Now, what I don't know, and I'd like to know, I probably should know this, is whether the rate lock feature that they have works on those monthly caps and monthly sums as well. I don't think so. I think it's only on the annual point to point, so I'll have to find that out and get back to you on that.
All right. What's the rate lock? I've forgotten what this is.
Yeah. So Allianz is really cool. They do really wild stuff sometimes.
Here, well, you can bring it down.
They built a rate lock feature into their products. Some other companies have it, but I think Allianz was actually the first one to bring it to market. And I may be wrong here, but I'm pretty positive they were the first ones to bring it in. Essentially, you can say like, hey, I have a 1 year point to point. It's from, let's say, November to November. And obviously, a lot of times November is every fourth year, are really kind of speculative times in the market. They're kind of sketchy, or you could say whatever time, right? I'm worried that my money right now, I'm going to hit a bunch of highs, and then right when I come due for my anniversary date, it's going to be in the lows, right? So it's going to go up, 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 up. We have something happen, like, April or something like that, where it's a fiscal year. Every year I see all these gains in my policy and all these gains in the index, and then like every year, a month or two before I get my money back, it goes down. It's like, this sucks. It's a 1 year point to point. I keep losing. Allianz was like, hey, that's fair. We understand. We'll let you go ahead and pick like a rate, and if the index hits that rate, we'll lock it in, almost like an option, right? So let's say you can do your policy in January 1st and say, hey, if the market, if the Bloomberg, if whatever hits a 6%, whatever index I pick, if it hits a 6%, I want to be capped at that point. I want to lock in my return for that 6%. Now, of course, if it goes up above that, you don't get any of that, but you're still locked in. So when it rolls around to your anniversary date, you get that 6% return.
And if it doesn't hit 6,
you don't get anything. If it only does like 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5,
like Vegas,
you don't get anything. Now, what they are doing on May 4th,
it's all like Vegas, I guess.
May 4th, they're doing two big things. One, they're increasing the income bonus, and we haven't said it yet. There is a bonus on this product to the income account, 18%. 18% is a pretty serious,
18%.
a good bonus.
Holy cow!
They're moving it up from
like
18.
That's like the old 222 bonuses.
Yep,
Remember that?
Yep. And when this came out, it came out with it had like a 22% on it, I think. They just kept,
that's very 222-ish.
Cutting out, yeah. It might have been 25 when it first came out. They're bumping it back up to 25 for limited time. May 4th to, I think, end of June.
Do we have that promotion here? Did you send me that?
I have it in my phone. It was on email.
I think we have it. Let's see.
Whole reason why I wanted to talk about this product, and I forgot when it ends.
Yeah.
They're bumping it from 18% to 25% again. So you're getting a 25% bonus on money that actually really kind of counts, doesn't fully count because it's still an income bucket, but still counts as far as the death benefit goes, right?
Well, it looks like on May 4th, the 222 is getting a increase as well.
Yeah.
The 222 premium bonus is increasing to 18%.
Okay.
Cool.
Does it give the end date for that, or is that like a consistent increase? Because I know this is just like a limited time special. Let's get some money in before summer hits.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
It's in that email.
May 4th to June 21st, 2022.
All the way to next year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No. June 21st, 2021.
2021. Okay. So it's not a full year and a month. It's just a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little more than a month.
Okay.
From May 4th to June 21st.
2021.
The ABC is going to be getting a bump from 18% to 25% premium bonus. That makes this a real sexy product.
Yeah.
You're talking about 25% premium bonus to an income product.
Yep.
25%.
That can still be passed through death benefit, right?
Right.
So it's not really fake money. It's still kind of fake money, but it's not fake money, but it is still, again, an income product.
Look, as long as this isn't about you leaving after the 10-year chassis, right? It's a 10-year product, right? Yeah,
it's a 10-year product.
10-year product. So as long as you're not using this as a product that you plan to potentially move to somewhere else, because that's where you lose, right? Like, so after 10 years, you take this product and you move it to some other annuity, or you move it to some other IRA, right? Like you transfer the money away from the Allianz product. That's like the only reason this product would stink. If you're using it for income or for legacy play of some sort, pass on to heirs, this is a home run.
Yeah.
You're talking about 25% premium bonus to money's day one.
Yeah.
You're talking about some pretty aggressive, even with a 95 basis point fee.
Still good funds.
Right? Like, so, yeah, you're talking about really, really good allocation strategies with Allianz. They have some of the best out there. And then you're talking about being able to take income before year 10 and getting increasing income.
Yep.
So now you're talking about 25% right up front.
$100,000 in, 25 grand.
$100,000, 25 grand going in. Then allocating, getting, what did they say? What was that slide that said for the allocation rate?
You're talking 250% of the
you're getting
accelerated?
50% to the accumulation value, right? But you're getting 250 going. So if I take a deferral, I don't need 10, because if I was doing 10 income-wise, I might look at the 222. Probably better from an income standard, and doesn't have a cap to that legacy play, right, for the PIV. So if I'm talking about it, and I'm going to defer 7 years. 7 years, I'm not worried about the accumulation value necessarily, unless I run it. Like if this money's purposed for income for me, or potentially legacy play, probably for income, just in case income, that kind of thing. So 7 years, I turn on the income, it starts to increase 250% for 7 years. I got on that allocation strategy, right? That's how this works? Yep. 250% for 7 years. Then you turn this on. Yeah, the growth is going to slow down a tiny bit, but that's the cost of doing business, right?
The accumulation account is going to grow faster now is one way to look at it, right?
Right. But when you and I talked, right, like if this is a client, when you and I talked, you were looking for, we needed to generate some extra income down the road, right? We wanted to make sure it was guaranteed for life. We also wanted to make sure we were preserving as much as possible for the kids. You told me that.
Yep.
So that's who I'm looking at. I'm looking at somebody that needed income, some general income, doesn't need maybe a ton, doesn't, just wants income, right? We've talked about through the sales process, like if you're an advisor out there, like there's so many out there, but if you're an advisor that's talking about a lot of risks, things that are incremental increases, like inflation risk, tax increases, legislative risks, right? Things like that might cause normal expenses to increase over time, over 20, 30 years we're talking. Then having an annuity that plays a flat level payout might not be the best solution. So if I need to get somebody $1,000 or something like that a month, well, I need to expect that they're going to need, somewhere on average over 20, 30 years, 30 years, they're going to need somewhere more like maybe $1,300 or $1,400, right? And so I look at an annuity, like a level payment annuity. I'm talking about, any sort of
any kind of guaranteed income
annuity. It's like, okay, I'm giving them a bunch of income up front. The more income than they need, because they only need 1,000, right? In that scenario I just described. So you only need 1,000. And I'm expecting you to pocket this, right? I'm expecting you to pocket this cash because it's more than you need. Let's say I get them a $1,300 payout from, Joe Blow annuity company out there. Level payout for 30 years. In the years that, let's say those first 7 years, they only need $1,000 up to like there's extra cash there. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm expecting them to pocket that for the back 10 years. I'm expecting them to pocket that so that it helps them overcome the inflationary needs
And as well,
of
I mean,
that same
theoretically, right,
$1,000.
when you have somebody that's taking income out shorter, like if you have somebody that can defer income for 10 years and then understand that like, hey, you're really going to be making out at like year 13, 14, 15, 16, somebody has to take income in 3-4 years, more than likely they're going to be taking income for a lot longer as well.
Yeah.
Right. If you have somebody that's 60, they just finished working and they're like, hey, look, I want to retire at 62 or whatever.
That's
They're going to
so
retire at
true.
62, get out and take income in a year, put it in for a year, defer it, put it in for a couple years, defer it. Like that person's going to be taking income according to the IRS for 15, 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Average life expectancy being 86 or so.
Versus somebody buying it at 60, deferring it for a full 10 years, and then taking it at like 72 to satisfy RMDs. Right. So the fact that it has that increasing option on it, like, yeah, you're going to lose in your first couple of years if you compare this to like a normal, like guaranteed payout. But again, over 17 years, like this thing's going to crush most of what's out there. I mean, that's increasing income story, right?
Yeah. I mean, but you're also being responsible as like as a planner and helping them adjust naturally to costs rather than putting the burden back on them to
Come up with more money
reallocate
later.
excess.
Yep.
To to future needs, you know.
I mean, your pension's got a COLA, Social Security's got a COLA. Like, why wouldn't your annuity have some kind of
I mean,
COLA
and
on
that's
it?
kind of been the brilliance behind Allianz for a long time, increasing income story. So if you need income, this is the story.
Yep.
Right. But, you know, so it's like 25% premium bonus on top. That's heyday, baby.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So the other part I want to tie back into that with that rate lock feature we talked about, something they're plugging in on May 4th. And I don't know if it's for a limited time or if they're just going to add these to all the products. I'm thinking they're just going to add it to like the suite of products. You have a floor now on it. So if you don't hit that 6 rather than busting and not getting anything for it, you can put a floor on it and say, hey, my floor is 5.5 and my cap is like 7.
What if it doesn't hit 5.5?
Well, then you just lower it. You could say like 2, 3, 1. Like I could say like, hey, look, I want like a 2% floor on it. So that you can rate lock up and down. So you can say like, hey, look, I want like if the market does a 3%, I want to rate that as my low. Just like an option trade. You got both sides of it. So you can say like, I want to like we'll go the other way, right? Say like, hey, look, this Bloomberg, I think the Bloomberg index is going to crush it this year. You put it in the Russell or something like that. You could say like, hey, I want a 10% rate lock. If this thing hits 10%, I want to lock it in.
Okay.
And then if it doesn't hit that, if it only stays at like 8, 6, somewhere around that, if it does really well and never hits 10, like I still want to put like a floor on it, say like 4%. I'm happy with a 4. If it does over a 4, I'll get that. And if it hits 10, so you have like, you can.
Why wouldn't I just put it at like 50? Like I'm saying the Russell's going to do 50. Great.
Yeah.
I want it to do 50.
Yeah.
It's going to do 50% return.
Yeah.
And the floor is 0.
Yeah.
Wouldn't I take home 100% of the returns?
No, because your rate lock, you put your rate lock, it never hit it. Your zeros, you would get a 0. That's your bottom. So you'd have to do a 2, and then you'd end
But
up with
it's
a 2
within
return.
the 0.
No, it doesn't count. You have to do like.
But it's
I like the
within
thought.
it. You know what I mean?
Your floor rate is the actual like rate on it. So like if you say like if you want a 0, then you're gonna get a 0. If you say like a 2 or a 3, then you get a 2 or 3.
Okay, what if I set it at like 0.1?
You get a 0.1.
But what? Okay, but what if it did like
Just
12?
because it passes the floor doesn't mean you get it. Just because it passed the floor, it has to hit the cap. So if you put it at like a 50 and it hits 50, you got the money. But if it hits 49, you don't. And if you put your cap at a 0.1, you get a 0.1. If you put your cap at a 7, you got a 7 then.
Okay, well then can I do 50? And does it have to fall within my top and floor?
To get it, it has to go through the floor, and your floor is locked in. And then if it goes through your ceiling, then you get your ceiling. But if it doesn't go through your ceiling, at least you get the floor on it. So your idea to do this logically, right, would say like, I think the Russell might do a 6, but I'm going to put a floor at like a 4.5. So that way, if it goes up to 4.5, you're good. If it goes up to 5 and never hits 6 and comes back down to a 3, at least you got your 4.5.
Gotcha. So you don't get like whatever it lands in between. You just
No.
get the floor if it doesn't hit the top.
Yes. Yep.
Well, that would have been really.
Would have been really cool. I mean, you can't win all of the time, right? They give you a floor on it. They fix
I
the
will
problem.
play that game in
I'll play that
Vegas.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's interesting.
Weird, right? For an index annuity.
I'd definitely hit it at 22% or
Yeah,
something like
that's what I'm
that,
saying.
and then I would hit it at like 4.
Give me a 20, and then give me like a.
I'd be like
a
way
6.
too aggressive on the cap.
And never
Just
hit your
know-
caps.
Just never hit my cap, but just won it.
You're using the floor as like its own
I'm
cap.
cool with 4.
Yeah.
Like generally
Yeah.
every time on
Yeah.
an annuity, safe money, you know, whatever. I'll throw that at 4.
We'll see what a 15 looks like.
But if I hit 15, baby, What if it hits 60?
You make it on a bandit like
I'm
the
getting it,
Russell.
right?
The Russell, I'm sure.
If it overshoots my cap lot or my top end, I still get the top end, right?
Only in the day's close. So that's a little bit of the weirder part, right? So like, let's say your floor is a 4 and your ceiling's a 6. If the market goes up like that day and it like goes up to a 7 or something like that, you still keep the remainder for that day. But if it like caps out at like 6.1, tomorrow opens up and goes up like another 4 or 5 points, now you're up at like a 10, you're still locked into whatever you had that day before. But if it goes up to like, that's what I would, I asked them if there was any kind of like, hey, is there really like, so again, if I put a 6 ceiling on it and it goes up to like 12, like we just have a crazy day, like do I get the 12? And they're like, yeah, you get the 12. Like, that's great.
Wait, I thought my rate lock was 6. Like I put the top end at 6. It goes to 12.
For the day's close.
Before the day's close.
Just for the day's close, you get the 12. It's only for that day though.
But I thought it was like I'm setting the top end of this. And so if it gets there and it overperforms it, I'm still just getting the 6.
Except for just today. Like just until market closes.
But didn't I set the cap at 6?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense to me.
You have like their thought is like it's only going to go up like a little bit more and you're never really going to like make out that high. But yeah, if the market goes up like past that point today and like you rate it in, like it's just for the day's close though. I'm assuming, even if they didn't say it, like there probably is still some kind of cap that they're going to say.
All right, what if I set it at 3?
Mm-hmm.
The market hits over 3 multiple times in a year.
Yep.
Right? Like goes over it. I just put it at 3.
Your ceiling's at a 3.
Ceiling's at a 3, floor's at a 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it whatever day did the best? Because let's assume that throughout my year, the market goes over 3 50 times.
I would assume it's probably the first time.
Yeah.
They probably let it go the first time and then they cap it at that.
All right, Allianz, that's a question for you. I'm telling you.
But really cool feature they're
that is
putting.
interesting for sure.
Options trading.
They're getting so many games though.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much to think about. It's like clients don't want all the games. That's what I feel. It's like they don't want to play. This is like toys for advisors to play with their clients' money. It's like, at least that's how it feels.
I've been saying it for a while, man. I think
like
at
this is
point,
an income product for somebody's income needs. It's like we're not trying to squeeze every penny out. I mean, we are.
Yeah.
But it's like the games to get these. I mean, and I guess Allianz just has a unique product when it comes to income, right? Because you're playing that increasing income story. It's like, how much increase can we get?
Yeah. I've been saying it for a while. I think like at this point, insurance carriers are making like products to compete with themselves rather than like for the client. Like, you know, it's like,
it's like, how fancy can we make this thing? It's like, it's just making it impossible to explain. It's like to do a thorough job and explain this product to a client is going to scare them away.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it is, right? It's like, okay, so company A makes this product, company B remakes it, makes their own style to it. And now they create whatever, bigger bonus, bigger this on that. And then it's like, you know, business starts shifting. So you got to do something to make something more advantageous to it. And then we just get in this point of like, you like to use like a Nash equilibrium where we're just building, it's like the indexes, right? Like everybody's getting these like back tested index and just throwing like a regular, like just wild indexes on it. Like I'd prefer somebody just like offer an S&P index to, like that actually performs. Like give me like an appropriate rate on the S&P index and like I'll sell the hell out of it, you know?
So much better. I mean, it's like no client wants to sit here and talk about
the Credit Suisse. Give me a 50% par rate in the S&P.
Yeah, par rate. No, even par rates. Like, give me an aggressive cap.
Yeah.
You know, or like par rates. It's like, okay, well, there's this volatility control. Let's talk about how much volatility goes up and down. It's like for me to sit there and explain that to a client is like, I mean, for a conceptual seller, right? For somebody that's doing a conceptual sale now needs to shift gears and be like, okay, let's go into the nitty gritty of how this product works. This is why I'm choosing this, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to go, 20 rounds with this. Yep. I'm somebody that sits and talks about product and lives in this world for a number of years to this point. And I'm still sitting here with you going 9 rounds, figuring out what are the exceptions with the rate lock. Yeah. It's like we can sit here and play all this all we want, but to be honest, Allianz and anybody else out there putting all this stuff out, you just, like Rick said, you're just competing with yourselves. Like this isn't helping the client any. It is, right? And we understand it, but it's really hurting the probable sales. There's an opportunity cost to it because it's like, how many advisors are just going to not sell the product because they know that while it might be better for the client, it's not going to be something.
They can't sell it. right?
Yeah, they can't.
Frankly.
They can't sell it because they can't explain it.
And I think with this PTE stuff going on,
worst case scenario, you do sell it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best case scenario for the client, but the client doesn't think so because they're so confused as to what's happening and what's going on. You've tried to explain it to them 20 times from Sunday, and they don't want what's best for them.
Yep.
And that's more likely the scenario.
And I think, in the past, there's been a lot of, I guess, ways you can get around that by just saying like, hey, look, this is an income product with increasing income features. If we stick it in this product, leave it alone and turn on income, like you cannot have to dive into a lot of the stuff. I think,
that's not what the carriers want.
Of course not.
CYA.
Nor is it right. Again, that's what I'm saying. But I think with the PTE coming through here and like, you're going to have to go through this and explain like, hey, look.
Why I chose this over that.
Yep.
And the why is going to be rate locks, and it's going to be, non-fee versus fees, and it's going to be increasing income. Increasing income is an easy enough conversation to have, but switching a switch from
better performing accelerated option
to the balance. Here's what happens when this happens. This happens.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I think I understand that, and then I add on rate lock feature, and they're like, okay, and then PIV account and death benefit from the PIV account. It's like, okay, okay. It's like, I think I know what I'm signing here. And then I'm at my annual renewal, and they're like, what account? Why did we only get so much? Well, you didn't hit the rate lock.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you hit the rate. You said this was the rate lock. Do you remember what the rate lock was? No, you never explained rate lock to me.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Or the floor,
And you got disclosure signed and you did whatever. And okay, fine. They can't get the carrier in trouble. Fine. I can't get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got a client here that's not happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree. There's a lot of moving parts to the product.
It's not just an Allianz problem either.
Yeah, no.
It's not. It's Allianz is just doing a good job.
I think what Allianz does like really well though is they do try to provide as much material as possible to like explain what they're doing, right? Like, you can pull the PowerPoints on the product, like the same stuff like a carrier rep's going to go over with you. With a lot of like carriers, they don't have that stuff. Yeah. Allianz does a really good job of like saying like, hey, we know this is like a buggy product and kind of finicky. Here's like everything on it. So like if you do go and study and like learn the product fully, but again, that's your ability to absorb, return, and then explain to a client. It's definitely not the easiest product to sell, and it's definitely complex. You're moving around a lot with it. And again, there's even more stuff, right? Like you can do Roth conversions with this product. So that's really nifty. There's a lot of different
flexible premium. Did we talk about that? Is it flexible?
Only 18 months? First 18 months. So, yeah. Yeah, only for the first little bit of it. But that's not like, you're doing a Roth internally and stuff like that, and they do all that for you. But cool product, nifty. Again, if you're using it for the basis and like trying not to dive too deep into that, not too hard to explain. Their illustrations are a little confusing too. They have a lot of like disclaimers through the first 4 pages you have to get through because again, there's a lot to it. So, which is good. It's better than not having any materials or any explanation of what you're doing. So,
if you're a super thorough advisor and you go through the nuts and bolts and maybe even, manage all their monies, then this could be. Look, I think it's a great product. I think Allianz offers a great product. They've been a #1 annuity carrier for 17 of the last 20 years, something like that. It's just incredible. There's a reason behind that. Mm-hmm. One, because of their ratings and their backing and their, solvency scores, everything, under the sun. They're just a fantastic company. But then they also get very clever about how to distribute income to folks over retirement. There's nobody doing that better than Allianz as far as getting, taking the guesswork out of retirement planning, I feel like, or a little bit of the guesswork out as far as like how much income do I need, like protecting against certain risks. And for a lot of advisors out there, that's a big part of their pitch to any of their clients.
Yeah.
Hey, you've been doing all this accumulation, but here's the risks that are involved in retirement. We got to think about these things. All of these risks that could be going up in your lifetime, and then park them into like a static income payout,
Yeah. It's a good side and downside to this annuity, right? You don't lose the full story of the market risk sale, right? Because again, you're not going to go down. You're not going to lose money except for the little bit of fee on it if you pick that product or that index. But you do lose the whole, like 3 lines, right? You can either you don't want this one, we're going to go even or we're going to go up, right? Like you do lose the whole like guaranteed income story. You are still playing in the market. You're still affected by the market. And this product is driven by it. So you win and lose on some.
A lot of people believe in like the market returns.
Especially right now, yeah.
Here's a place for you to secure, but also still play in those upsides. And then the rate lock adds even more fun for folks.
Yeah, I think that'll be a big feature.
25% bonus.
Yeah.
What was the dates on that again? 25% bonus. Pull this up on the screen real quick, Will.
May 4th through June 21st.
25% bonus, May 4th through June 21st.
2021.
Don't miss out. It's a very, very interesting. Allianz is known to do this kind of stuff. All right, you can bring that down.
No, so I talked to an advisor today. I don't know if you heard me at lunch, but she had an $800,000 client that they've been looking at the ABC, kind of like talking about it. Hasn't really made a move.
Not changed.
She called them and was like, hey, look, they just increased this. We've got for a little bit here. We're going to get it done, get it papered up. They said, we'll just wait on it basically, but, we'll put this in. And now, it was $800,000. So the guy's going to get a $200,000 bonus to the account, make him $1 million total.
Oh, okay. So they're going to look at it May 4th.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So
May 4th to June 21st, 2021, Allianz ABC's 25% premium bonus, up from 18%. That's incredible. Cool product. I guess we'll go to arbitrating ratings.
Arbitrary ratings, yeah.
Yeah. So what are you doing, Mr. Kallmeyer? What are you giving this thing?
I'm going to rate it Apple's new product launch with slow internet. You're excited. It's
really
great. It's got some opportunity.
I'm an Apple guy. Right? No, you don't like that, Will? All right. Apple's new product launch with slow internet.
Yeah. It's just Tim, just like.
Yeah. Gosh, how do I want to gauge this? I want something that's like, it's really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be similar to yours. Really good, but super complex.
Yeah. Like a Chinese finger trap, I'm
going to say it's a take 5.
Take 5.
It's a take 5.
It's complicated.
It's a complicated.
There's a lot of flavors going on in that candy bar.
There's a lot of flavors in a take 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it a take 5.
Take 5.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Will. It is really good. But it has a lot of complexity to it. And to try to explain that to somebody, go ahead. Try and explain to me a take 5.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
You're going to have to try it yourself.
No, I could do it. I just need one. I got to try one myself. I gotta really get through that illustration, and I'll be able to, probably explain it to a client.
Absorb it.
Anyway, cool things, man. Apple product launch, take 5, whatever you want. Thanks for going over it, man. It's a good one.
Pleasure.
It's a good one. We'll see everybody right here next time on the show. Thanks for joining us. Allianz ABC Annuity.